20 years ago at another one of the first United I was in. So I have been in Premier a handful, but it was in another group that I met him. And he was a chiropractor and he did internist work. And my husband went to him to get something corrected, snapped, cracked, whatever. And during the interview phase of what they were doing, he told my husband that he was going to have a heart attack. And my alpha curmudgeon husband dubbed Dr. Smith at that moment in time the witch doctor. Because how would he know that? I was just there to get something adjusted. And he told him that. 4 months later, my husband did. He actually had 4. And he had open heart surgery. About a third of his heart to this day is dead. Will never come back. I'm thankful he's with us still, right? So because of that, I thought, well, he can't be completely crazy, right? So I went to see him. I was 40 years old, thought I was completely healthy, didn't have anything wrong with me, but I wanted just to see, just to gauge what was going on. And through some simple blood tests that he asked me to do, I had the highest markers of inflammation. I could have died from a stroke at any moment. He called me when he got my blood test back. He goes, do you feel okay? I'm like, I feel like normal, like fine, like never had a problem, never whatever, right? Happy, goofy, go lucky person myself. So he made me come back to the office, and after some figuring out, I'm allergic to soybeans. What on earth can you eat that doesn't have soy in it? My favorite thing in the world was going to the sushi place and getting the little fried edamame. Those are soybeans. I had 4 packages of them in the freezer at my house because I loved having an afternoon snack. Like that was my thing. So I quit eating soy, and 4 weeks later I repeated the test. And my husband said, that's a waste of money, that's ridiculous, it's gonna take longer than that to know a true result. That marker in my blood, my inflammation went down to 0. And I'm still, I'm not puffy at all. Like my face was puffy. A couple members in this group said, are you feeling okay? Like, have you lost a lot of weight? Because it's just in that month, all the puffiness went away. So I trust this man with everything, with whoever I have. He's helped my mom, he's helped my sister-in-law, and my dad was also thought, that's crazy. So my dad's spreadsheet man, goes, what did Dr. Smith prescribe you? And I gave him the list, and then he got it from my sister-in-law, and he got it from my mom. He goes, well, I just want to double check to make sure he's not giving all y'all the same stuff. And all of it was different, because each of us are different. So even if you think you're healthy, it's totally worth talking to this guy. So thank you very much, Dr. Smith.
We have a reason to be hopeful, okay? And the reason is this: we have learned a lot. One of the things we've learned, though, is we've got some problems, and I want to kind of explain those to you real quick about why doing the vitamin D is important and doing all the other stuff is important, because it helps protect us from some of these things. First of all, remember, it wasn't until 1970 that Richard Nixon basically got the EPA started. So it's not like we've known this stuff forever. Okay, so this is not some big conspiracy story. This is the truth. Nobody really realized a lot of this was going on. So when you understand that and go, okay, 1970, this is like 50 some odd years later, where are we at now? Well, basically we have enough plastic out there that we can give every human on the planet their own metric ton. Which is to say we have a problem, since everybody's been hearing microplastic, right? You've all heard that warning screamed at you. That's why it's a big deal. But Biden's administration actually did institute a treaty operation getting started that's going to involve about 175 countries to start working on this thing, which is good because now we know about it, okay? And think about how long it would have been 100 years ago for somebody to make an action to do something. And we've been in Baton Rouge, between Baton Rouge and New Orleans for a long time. We know the story. We're not surprised. We're just evolved enough that we realized our bodies have apparently been dealing with a lot of junk and still not falling down from it. But there is a lot of problems out there. And we do realize these things are having an impact even on all of us. So when you look at it, whether it's the beach out by LSU to the left, whether it's a thing up there, or whether the bottom two, I know both of us have seen those pictures on the news where they said, and this is what's getting in the water out there with lakes. In other words, pick up your damn plastic and quit throwing it out there, people. Basically what they're telling us is these foreign chemicals, we've been making a buttload of these, okay, a lot. And this is not new. But what we have to do is realize the average person, bottom line, 400 synthetic chemicals are in them. I'm gonna make a video of it and I'll give everybody one of them. But this has kind of become the his and her problem. And people hear weird words like endocrine. Think hormone disruption, okay? And what we're talking about specifically is one hormone may work one way on guys and one on the same hormone differently on women. We didn't know this before. We now know this. We're working on trying to fix this. Because these are some of the problems we're finding these things are doing. And that's a big deal because that QR code is just a list of, that's a link to my website with a whole bunch of books on this very subject. If you're interested in going back and looking at it, you can. And it just gives you some information about, okay, what the heck, how's this stuff work? What can I do about it? And just to know for your own self. Because a lot of stuff I'm telling you to do actually will help. Because the idea that BPA plastic can actually have an effect on increasing type 2 diabetes is new. Okay, we didn't know this forever. And these chemicals that do things that act like hormones, this is actually, part of this was done at Tulane. They actually one of the first developers to go out and start studying some of these chemicals and realizing these things are causing things to grow not right. And when you understand that, you go, okay, like what? They're saying they think it's having an impact on our brains. Okay, brain health. And this is not new either. We've been knowing times were changing. And this is not just some song from back in the 60s. But Teflon is one of the ones that we've gotten rid of. We said this is part of the thing we have to quit doing. So there's actually 6 chemicals they said we don't want in our drink water now, and this is new. They just did this last year for the first time, coming out and say, hey, clean up your water. And all the cities are supposed to fix and go to that standard now. So that's a big thing, that's getting rid of these chemicals that we realize is a problem.
Was that like a nationwide or was that?
Yes, nationwide. It's going to be a nationwide thing. Because these chemicals we're finding out are disrupting things that are made in our stomach, and we know it's a problem. And we know that the prevalency of this, I checked the numbers again on this slide just to make sure I wasn't wrong. I saw one that says it may be 2 to 3, maybe to 4 in 110,000 back in 1970. Okay? That's not enough to get me excited. What got me excited is when you say it's 1 in 36 in 2023. Or when you tell me California's saying theirs is 1 in 17, and California's the place that's been doing the over-the-top trying not to get stuff wrong, right? So just be aware of the fact that there are problems we're realizing now that we didn't know. But the thing is, we know them. It's a start. So I have my Teflon Kamal. Why do I do Camel? Because it's easy to remember my acronym. Number 1, get rid of the Teflon. Don't use it anymore. Because this stuff actually is what they call a blocker of a receptor that you use to clear out your own hormones. Okay? But one of the reasons why I told y'all to eat broccoli, sulforaphane, that stuff to eat, because that helps to clear that out and keep that clean. Because when you look at it, it's talking about cadmium, arsenic, mercury, aluminum, lead. And remember, when you talk about lead, it's kind of funny. Remember, we were the people that actually, up until 1986, were still manufacturing lead at tetraethyl lead at Ethel plant here in Baton Rouge. Algeria was still making this stuff until 2021. So we just now got lead out the environment being made for gasoline. And I understand that's a big deal because that was literally, you go, well, wait, that's 20 years. Yeah, but in terms of what it used to take for information to get around the world, think about how big that is. We have potential to do a lot more. When you see my Hope Science video, which is coming after this one, that I'll have with this when I release this one, you'll understand why I'm telling you we have reason to be very optimistic, because information is becoming much quicker disseminated about how we can change problems. Because these problems connected to our brain health and connected to intestinal health is real. So when I've been talking about all this stuff about taking care of your gut, doing things nutritionally to help yourself, all that will be of benefit, and we can do things about it. The other thing is we just have to realize, become active in our community and say, hey, okay, get a dang paper bag, get a cloth bag when you grocery shop. That's a simple thing you can do, and they do it in Europe now all the time. Here you'll be weird, but that's because you have to be weird to be right. Okay? Because realistically, we need to change this. And the best way to do it is be an agent of change. Everybody in here started being weird. Guess what? Somebody else will hear the message. And we'll make an impact that'll probably help us out community-wise and country. Because there's a reason behind hope and the science of being hopeful, and I'm going to go through that with y'all on my next video. So any questions?
Hello, Dr. Bob Smith here. It's amazing when you think about it how much information has changed and developed over the last year, 5 years, 15 years, 50 years that point to the understanding of how nutrition as a science, and specifically the interplay between us and our bacteria in our intestines and all of our genes and those bacterial genes either upregulate and produce things that make us exceedingly healthy or play a part in making us not so healthy. Part of it's what we eat, part of it's what the bacteria produce as byproducts. All of those come into play. And the only education we can actually use now to help ourselves literally is the education that gives us a background that lets us understand how this works and do it in a way that we can use it in our own daily lives. That's what I try to give people an opportunity to understand, so they have a foundation to understand when they're making choices about food, about supplements, about anything when it comes relating to their health and activities, so they know up front that this is going to be a good or great idea for me for the long term to keep me in better shape and feeling better. These are the sort of problems we face in addressing and trying to get answers on how to be healthy. And I'm Dr. Bob Smith. I would like to help you in your journey to find better health and nutrition along the way. Give us a call.